My friend Trisha nudged me in the closet as we grabbed our jackets for dismissal time, asking if I was still coming to her birthday party. "I'm not going to miss this party for nothing," I reassured her. Honestly, I couldn't believe my parents agreed to let me go since they were so strict. Most West Indian parents can be incredibly overprotective, finding danger in any innocent situation. You better believe I made sure all week that my homework assignments were completed. My behavior was stellar in the class. Like the Tasmanian devil, I did all my chores. There was no way I was going to get myself into trouble. This was going to be the first party I'd attend without my parents. Most of our classmates were going to be there. It was going to be so cool to see my friends on the weekend. I had a feeling that this was going to be the best party ever. Saturday evening, I laid out my clothes, showered, and got dressed. It was a birthday party, but my friend's birthday was on Halloween. It didn't click until I looked at the birthday invite. It was going to be a birthday/Halloween bash. Once I was ready, my father dropped me off at the party. From outside, I could hear the music in there. My heart leapt with excitement as I walked up the stairs and entered the house. Just as I predicted, the party was a hit. There were so many cute boys there to dance with. One of them approached me. "Hi, my name's Daniel. What's your name?" I told him my name, and then he asked me to dance. We danced together the entire night. Trisha told me if I wanted anything to eat or drink, to go into the kitchen and help myself. I did feel a little hungry and thirsty, so I told Daniel I'd be right back. Now in the kitchen, I looked at the table. There was a platter of baked macaroni and cheese, salad, sandwiches, deviled eggs, and fried turkey, and a huge birthday cake. Underneath the table was a huge cooler filled with sodas. Grabbing a plate, I grabbed some chips and a sandwich. Not wanting to make a mess on the dance floor, I stood in the kitchen, nibbling on my food. From where I stood, I could see Daniel. It looked like he was waiting for me to come back. Once my plate was empty, I scanned the kitchen looking for a trash can. "It's over there," an old, dry voice responded from the far right of the kitchen. I saw an old woman sitting next to a smaller table in the corner. How come I didn't notice her before? Her skinny arm was extended, pointing to the trash can nearby. Muttering a thank you, I tossed the empty plate in the trash. Returning to the larger table, I pulled out a soda from the cooler underneath and returned to the party. Daniel and I danced and chatted, but my mind kept going over to the fact that I never saw the old woman sitting in the corner all by herself at the much smaller table. The kitchen was dimly lit. There were only candles on both tables, illuminating the entire room. Periodically, other kids went to the kitchen and returned with their plates piled high with food. Trisha's birthday party was on Halloween, but no one was dressed up for the party. Not a problem. My parents don't let me go trick-or-treating anyway, so the party was a nice added touch. After about an hour of dancing, I felt thirsty again. Making my way back into the kitchen for some refreshments, I saw the old lady still sitting in the kitchen. It was weird. She just sat there, guarding the smaller table. I grabbed another soda from the cooler, popping it open, looking for another sandwich. They were all gone. venturing over to the smaller table to see if there were sandwiches there. Looking down at the smaller table, I couldn't understand what was on it. It was a mess, actually. I saw a plate with crumbled crackers on it. They were in haggard pieces. Another plate had unwrapped candy on it. Next to that was a platter of greasy-looking meat. It looked so unappetizing. What the heck is this? There were unopened dark bottles of liquor on it. I knew that wasn't for us. There was roasted corn, too. The old woman just sat there, unmoving and silent. Someone else entered the kitchen and stood next to me. There was a little boy. He looked just like Trisha, so I imagined that was her little brother. He said, "Hi, Grandma." Then he looked at me, asking if I ate anything off of the table. No, I didn't. He smirked at me, saying, "Oh, okay." He reached at the table, grabbed a piece of unwrapped candy, popping it into his mouth. Then he turned around and left. A few other people came into the kitchen looking over the small table. They too didn't get what they were looking at. It was wacky. Something kept my hands at my side, just staring at the table, confused. The presentation was off. Unlike the bigger table. I didn't notice that Trisha was standing next to me at first. But she said, "Don't touch this table, okay? It's not for you." The old woman croaked to Trisha. I understood what she said. She was an old Haitian woman, and unless you knew me, there was no way to tell I understood what she said. "That girl has a seal on her." What does that even mean? I'm not sealed. There is no mark on me, so how could she tell? Was that a bad thing? Still standing there, more people filed into the kitchen, taking drinks and food from that smaller table. Why would they even want to eat this mess? The old woman rocked back and forth as more people started to pick up broken pieces of cracker to pop into their mouths. Who were they? When I made a move to grab the roasted corn, she put out her hand and said to Trisha, "Tabza." Trisha immediately translated. I didn't need it, of course, but she said, "My grandma says you cannot touch what is at this table. Go to the other one." Okay, fine. So I went and grabbed some chips. More people filed into the kitchen to eat and drink. Slowly, the smaller table was becoming bare. Why did they even want to eat what was on this table? When we went back into the front room to party some more, I sat down and watched everyone. Daniel was dancing with another girl. It didn't bother me. What bothered me was that tiny table in the corner of the kitchen. Trisha spotted me and sat next to me. "You having fun?" I nodded my head yes. Sorry about that smaller table. My grandma does this every October 31st through November 2nd. It's called the Day of the Dead. I asked her how come some folks were allowed to eat from the table and I wasn't. She said she'd explain it to me at school. Later, when my dad came to pick me up, he asked how the party was, and I told him it was fine, and mentioned the kitchen incident. When we got inside, he asked me to tell my mom what I saw. She smirked and shook her head. "Wow, really? Were you scared?" "Why would I be scared?" Then my parents asked me if I saw people eating at that table. I said, yeah, but the old lady told me I was marked and couldn't eat anything from it. My parents looked satisfied. My mother said, that's right, she knows better. I was so friggin' confused. On Monday at school, the party was all the buzz. I would ask Trisha about the table during lunch. We sat side by side when she told me, my grandmother is weird. She believes in all sorts of stuff. She uses the Halloween season to feed ghosts, family members who've passed on. She honors them every year. I wanted to tell her that the dead don't eat, but Trisha lowered her voice and said, yes, they do. I told her about meeting Daniel at her party. I wanted to know if he mentioned me at all. She stared at me blankly. You saw my brother Daniel? Yeah, I did. Tears were in her eyes when she told me her brother died way before she was born. He was dead. November 1st and 2nd is the Day of the Dead. That table was set aside for the dead. So those who came to the table to eat weren't necessarily alive. Happy Halloween.